Time now for an in-depth look at the market news this afternoon, and for that I'm joined on the line by Mr. Daniel Yu, global strategist at Yuanta Securities. Mr. Yu, thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me today.
Well, stocks on Wall Street were up overnight, partly on hopes for a coronavirus vaccine. The Nasdaq in particular was up 2.5% to a new all-time high. What's the story in the global markets?
Yes, as you said, Dow Jones as well as Nasdaq all was risen yesterday. If you look at Dow Jones, added slightly, but now Nasdaq jumped by 2.5%. There were some questions about whether you want to buy the growth stocks or the value stocks, and because the week before, the small caps and the value stocks doing quite sizable returns, people were doubting and worrying about the Nasdaq or the growth stocks might be taking some hit going forward. But it seems that as this week started, Nasdaq jumped, and clearly the leading stocks are continue to lead the market. The news come from the vaccine side, the potential coronavirus vaccine, and also the further fiscal stimulus in U.S. had added the strong movement of Nasdaq, and looking into other countries in Europe, we start to see quite aggressive boosting measure because the COVID-19 has affected negatively, where the additional new patients rise were very sharp in various countries, and because of that, the aggressiveness of the boosting measure is actually happening at this current point in time. We think that right now is not the end of the so-called bubble stage. We think that it is probably continuation of fourth industrial revolution bubble stage, but probably on the beginning side. So we think that the U.S. market as well as other growth stock-based indices will be showing further rise in a longer-term basis. In any case, at this short period of time, people are a bit worried about the growth rate of global economy in third quarter because of the COVID-19 effect.
Well, now, Korean stocks were strongly higher today, too. Is that just following on from Wall Street, or what's happening there?
Yes, as you said, Kospi is up about 1.36%. Kosdaq was up 1.1%. Korea advanced on Tuesday following the positive news from the Wall Street, as well as the European agreement regarding the stimulus program. The potential COVID-19 vaccine and the fiscal stimulus from the major countries are definitely affecting positively. Korea, because of the strong dependency on export, the global economy recovery is a very important factor. Right now, the domestic consumption numbers are actually very good relative to what we've been worried about. So what we need is the export side, the global economic recovery, and it seems that the news flows coming out from the global side is positive in that these vaccines and the fiscal and monetary policy would have positive implication for economic growth in the global scale. And that's why the Kospi has risen well above 2,200 level.
We saw today that Korea's exports in the first 20 days of this month were down about almost 13% from the same period last year. That decline was led by semiconductors, cars, petrochemicals. What stands out to you in these numbers?
Right. As you said, clearly this is indicating that the economic recovery is slower than hoped for. The South Korea's the export numbers coming in at 13% decline year on year in the first 20 days of July. But of course, if you look at the full month, the number will be probably relatively less than that. But nevertheless, it is still a declining trend of the export growth rate. The main reason for that is because of the automobile as well as the petrochemical-related export numbers are dropping quite sharply, where the petrochemical drop was 41% year on year. Clearly, that's because if you look at the petrochemical price or the oil price itself, it has plunged, and it has risen back, but it's still at less than $40 range, and that affects negatively. But as for the auto and semiconductor side, it is down by around 14% and 1%. So that's not necessarily that significant. Hopefully, with the additional electric car sales that we're expecting, the auto sales would probably gradually pick up. All in all, we need to look at further months of these export numbers to determine whether Korea will be showing a reasonably relatively better economic growth rate than other countries. But anyway, so far, because of a strong domestic consumption numbers, we are seeing the economic growth rate decline to be much less than other countries. So that's why we think that the Korean equity market has some more room to go up in the future.
Got it. All right, Mr. Yu, thanks so much for coming on and sharing your insights today. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.